Good morning, everyone. Somebody shake their head that they can hear me. Thanks, Casey. So this, first of all, this reminds me of Zoom. I'm starting to have a flashback to last school year. And it's the funniest part of this is that if we didn't make the kids put on their videos, it would look like my screen does right now, where I have 16 people and 5 cameras on. So first, let me say welcome to the middle school for most of you. Several of you looking at your faces are veterans of the middle school. Yes, Stacy, I'm talking about you, and Casey. But things are always different. For those of you, you have different children. I have 2, and how they experience things are always different. So don't expect everything to always stay the same, because it doesn't, as much as we'd like it to at times. So for those of you who this is your first foray into middle school, or this is your first child going to middle school, you're into 3 very interesting years, because your children come into middle school, to be honest, as children, and they tend to leave as young adults. And that's 3 years. And the change in middle school emotionally and physically, socially, is probably the biggest change that you'll see in your child in this short period of time. That doesn't mean to scare you. We've survived it for a long time. I survived it with 2, and I promise you will all survive it also. There's also sometimes this attitude from parents, because they hear from other people that, well, they're going to middle school now, so they must be more independent and they must be this. That takes time. It's a learning thing like anything else. We don't take they learn to become more independent because they get more responsibility, and having more responsibility is very, very important, but also understand that they need the support. So just being a parent and throwing them to the lions and saying, well, it's middle school now, so you're responsible for your own homework and I'm not going to keep track of it with you. Your child, if they need that support, if they need you still looking over their shoulder, keep doing it for a while. You can keep giving them a little more rope and let them earn the fact of the responsibility that they're doing it by themselves. But you do want to start giving them more and more of that leash. And some of them will run with it, and some of them will wrap it around their necks. The first question that I'm sure is on everybody's mind is COVID, and where do we stand? And we stand probably in the same place that you do. We watch the news every day. We, unfortunately, the Southern Nevada Health District tends to react fairly slowly. Just the only organization that probably acts just a little quicker than them is called the CDC. And those we're tied to we're still tied, even though we're a private school, to certain government regulations. So if they mandate that everybody who's not vaccinated in schools have to wear a mask, then our kids will have to wear a mask. If they don't, then it gives us leeway to make those decisions ourselves. And we've had those discussions already, and we're going to do what is best for our school and our kids. We have committed on the minimal end on our side to doing our best to mitigate. We went through this as a country, as a school, and in trying to keep track of who's got COVID has been, or who's possibly positive for us, has been probably the best way to keep it out of the school. So we are going to continue in the middle school and upper school, and I think even the elementary school. Those of you who are new to our school who didn't get to read the newspaper article last year about what's called the Tiger technology. It was in the news. It was actually made national news. It's a little box It just goes on someone's arm and they wear it for 5 minutes and it gives us a signal. We're going to be using that as a scanning tool. It was approved last year by the FDA. We even had families try to reach out to find out how they can contact the owners to see if they can invest in it. No, it's a privately held company, we found out. So no, we can't invest in it. I probably would have done the same. It's going to help us at least keep track of whether we have outbreaks on campus and to be able to deal with that. Again, so what the rules are going to be exactly, I can't tell you at this moment. Especially sixth grade, I have to tell you, is the toughest grade to make a decision of any grade in school, because it's the only grade, because right now the rules are 12 and over can get vaccinated. Well, I looked at our list. I have 3 sixth graders who start in the year at 12 years old. And then we have every other week, we have another one who becomes 12 years old. So, so do we say all sixth graders have to wear them? Seventh and eighth graders who are vaccinated. So again, this is something we're discussing, but we still have to wait until we get firm decision from the Southern Nevada Health District, because it may be not something that's beyond our control. Otherwise, we plan to try to run school as normal as possible. What that means is we're going back to using lockers. We're not running set cohorts of students. We're going to have the students be able to change classes, and within our middle school, those classes, each period, you may not have the same group of students. That's intentional. So you're not with the same 19 students all day. That gives you the opportunity to have some friends that you've known in the past, some you didn't, make new friends, some groups. So instead of only knowing 20 kids for the year, you may be in classes with 35, 40 different kids throughout the year in different sections of different classes. So that's done positively. So again, that is done so to stop the social groups. And some people loved cohorts because they liked the group of friends they were in, and some people hated it because they didn't like the group of friends they were in. But it's not something that I really want to continue. So we'll have school like normal. We're planning full sports. We're planning full arts. There's nothing else that we're holding back on at this moment, again, unless the government tells us we have to. So we're planning to run school like normal, except for maybe wearing masks. And excuse me while I have to keep letting people in too. So some of the other just general things before I talk about what a middle school day looks like. Computers, you should all have a list of what is required for computers. We do not allow students to use their computers, first of all, constantly. We try to keep it where it's needed because we have learned that this is not the greatest age for the focus of computers, but again, it's their life. Everything they do is on technology these days. And I have an 88-year-old father who doesn't even ever go to a grocery store anymore. So he's even learned to use technology. But again, they're supposed to have that computer with them daily, fully charged. Question that always is phones. Students may have phones. From 8 a.m. till 3:15, they will be in their lockers. I do not want to see them. I do not want to hear them. I do not want to see them texting. I will tell you, and I will get lashed from this is 100% true. Every time, no, except for once, I've taken a phone away from a child who is texting or using it, and Stacy's smiling because she's heard this before. They've been on with their parent. And more than half the times, the parents have initiated that contact. If you have something that important to tell your child, call the front desk. Miss Baker will get your child and you may speak to them. We're not holding them prisoner. Also, we have parents show up at the front door and go, "Oh, I'm here to pick up my child." Why? They're sick. Okay, we didn't know they were sick. Yeah, they went, they got their phone, they went to the bathroom, they called their parent. I've made it through 2 children. And, if my child was that sick where I have to come pick them up at school, I know as a parent, I'm not trying to be critical of anybody, I'd like an adult near them to know they're not feeling well. So we're near them. So the fact that we don't know, we don't say to them, oh, you'll get over it, go back to class. We will call you, or we will have them call you and say, I'm not feeling well. I also implore parents, before cell phones existed, I used to have this discussion with parents. Parents would ask us to get on the phone and go, what's their schedule for the rest of the day? I go, well, they got 2 tests this afternoon. Okay, it's called this test stomach bug. And so again, we don't hold them hostage, but we let the parents make that decision whether they're going to take their child home or not. But please, I don't think that's safe to know that children are sick without an adult on my campus knowing that they're not feeling well because, parents run in. And then while it also goes as far as kids forget something, especially at this age, I don't mind occasionally if you save them. That's okay. That's a good parent. I left my homework on the table. So if you have the ability, you want to bring it in, that doesn't bother me. We don't want to do it every day. We don't want to do it every week because then we're not learning any responsibility. But it's not a terrible thing. But again, let them come to the front desk after 8 o'clock and call you. We're not going to hold them. So from 8 to 3:15. By the way, my rules on that is the first time they get caught with their phone inappropriately, I take it stays in my office for the day. I give it back to them at 3:15. The second time it happens, you have to get out of your car at 3:15 and come get it from me. So, and then the third time we have to have a meeting about that. So, by the way, I've never had a third time. So it's been a good thing. Drop off and pick up. You'll have a map, but basically if you drop off in the morning, you come in the westernmost gate, you follow it around, and right on the side of the middle school, you can drop off your child. Again, these are middle schoolers. In lower school, they open the door, they shove your child in the car, they drag them out of the car, or whatever they need to do. In middle school, we expect that they know that, they don't get into the car with somebody they don't know. We don't put them in cars. We don't take them out of the cars. At 3:15, there's a lot of kids who aren't going home because they're staying for sports, which I'll discuss in a few minutes, or staying for play rehearsal or something like that. So, and I'll discuss the after school schedule. But so they're responsible to get out of their own car. And the same thing for pickup. Last year, I actually enjoyed carpool because I got to see parents every day. I enjoyed it last year. I won't be doing it this year unless COVID changes it, because I'm actually prefer to be coaching or working with the kids after school, not moving cars around. Again, after school, they come and they get in their car, or you pick them up after practice. It's a much more independent operation than it is. Please don't call the school the first week of school and say, this car line is outrageous. It will be the first week. It always calms down. It's always because people meet people. They decide to carpool. Sports start, so it spreads it out in the afternoons. So it happens every year. So please don't worry about it. And if there are things that we can fix, we always make some edits to that. Drop off at the middle school can be as early as 7 a.m. We allow the kids, because they're middle school kids, they're allowed to hang out and be social. They're not allowed to run around the building like crazy people. They don't have to go right to their classroom. A lot of them sit in the common room together as friends, or they sit by their lockers. That's the time, to be honest, that they're playing their games on their phones, because they don't have to put them away till 8 a.m. So it is a time that they're social with each other, and that's an important part of middle school. Teachers are usually in their rooms no later than 7:30, some of them 7:15. It's also a great time to meet with a teacher before school if you struggled on a math problem the night before and you want to get there. You'd have to check with other buildings also. But I have no problem with a middle schooler being dropped off so you have multiple children at lower school. If you have upper lower school children, that sounds strange. If you have older lower school children and your child leaves here at 3:15, please call Miss Kennedy, and she can arrange in the afternoon for your younger child to walk up, and so you only have to do one pickup. Or the opposite, if you want your older child to walk down to lower school, then just make sure that your older child knows to do that, and they can do that. Again, we don't have, we don't have a little buzzer that says they walked into the wrong pickup line. I don't think Miss Kennedy nor I like the idea of very young kids walking up by themselves to the middle school parking lot to get into carpool. But again, for those kids from lower school, that's Miss Kennedy's purview. We are having lockers again this year. We didn't have them last year. Okay, that is the biggest trauma every year, the first week of lockers. Okay, I promise, and I told this, I see one of my upcoming students, Graham, I see you there. Okay, he's laughing about it. I promise you that, Graham, that some of your classmates will be crying outside their locker because they can't get it open. Okay, we have plenty of adults who stay in the halls. They don't get yelled and screamed at for being 5 minutes late to their next class the first week of school because they couldn't get their locker open. We sit there and go, okay, let's work on it. If you think it's going to be a huge anxiety thing for your child, give Miss Smith a call, and she's here. I'm here, except for the next few. I'm just missing a few more days, and then I'm here the rest of the summer also. You can bring your child in. They can practice. If they want to set up their locker before school, great. We don't care. Okay, we want to make it as smooth and easy and comfortable for the kids. So we're here if they want to, set up their locker, try their locker, practice it. If you get frustrated because they can't remember right, left, right, and then to pass the number the second time, it's okay. I've done this. I've taught lots and lots of locker openings over I won't say it, Sierra, but I've been here for a long time. So again, we want to make those things easy as possible. Again, the time frame. So the schedule, for those of you who didn't look, we're going to send that a little email after this meeting. Schedules are actually on Veracross right now. For those of you who haven't figured that out yet, they get posted. I apologize for, in past years, I actually had them out before school ended. We changed that a little bit. Miss Larson, I think, can attest to it. We coming out of the COVID year, it really caused us some computer problems because the way we had classes. So we were working on it. I know she was working on it even past my opening of it yesterday at 4:30. She was still working on it, and she had it done, but she had computer problems. But it's out. It's there. I do always want to tell you that while their teachers probably won't change, and of course their assignments won't change in the summer, there's still a chance that some schedules will change. Because when we add new students and things over the summer, it sometimes causes because now that because we have beginning Spanish for kids who are new to our school, or they have to be in certain classes. So it sometimes does make me have to change. And that's because, we will start the year for sure. And I see Ms. Palacios is on the call, is on Zoom, that we will start the year full. And middle school is kind of unique being full than the other division. Well, lower school is really the same way, is if you move somebody from one class homeroom to another homeroom, you have to move somebody the other way because they're full. Same thing in middle school. If I have to move somebody from math to science, I have to move somebody from science to math to keep the numbers. So it's a very difficult puzzle. We actually have a proposal that's going to hopefully change that for the next school year, but that's a secret. After school, the schedule. So if you notice, the A, B, and C's kind of stay in the morning, and those are mostly academic classes. There's one grade, sixth grade, I think, has some study hall in there. Otherwise, then the rest of the day rotates. That's purposeful. Well, now it's even better because at 2:30, everybody goes to athletics, and I'll talk about that again in a second. But, if you can remember your school days, if your last period every day happened to have been the day that you were assigned math, I don't care if you had the greatest math teacher in the world, you probably didn't have the same math experience that the student who had it at 10 o'clock in the morning had it, or 11 o'clock, because by 2:30, we're done. Not just the adults, the kids. So having those schedule rotate so you have different classes that each day. It's also kind of good for the kids. Every day is a little different. It gives them a little different order of classes. And if you also notice, the class drops out every day. So they don't have that, if they really don't like that subject as much, or don't like the homework that's associated with that class that much, they don't have it on certain days. So that's purposeful. You'll also notice in the schedule, there's periods that have my name on them and marked activities. They do not come to me. I do not have 180 students come to me for activities, but there are different activities that we plan by different people on our campus in a middle school. And we have assemblies. We have this house system in middle school that we you become a team with that. There's the name's Greek gods, and you compete against other teams in our middle school. And every quarter, somebody wins the coveted gold-plated Mr. Potato Head. That's true. We have a gold-plated Mr. Potato Head, and also gets an ice cream dessert, which they like better than the gold-plated Mr. Potato Head. And then we also have sometimes advisory where we'll deal with major topics that are going on, and those can be broken down by grade. The biggest addition this year in that schedule is we added a 10-minute block in the morning. It's not the first thing, and I explained to you why. It's called Homeroom. So, they would see their advisor, as formally maybe once a week. Now they're going to see that advisor every day, 4 out of the 5 days a week for 10 minutes. And this gives the teacher who's the advisor just a check-in time, say, because anytime you'll get a progress report, which you'll get a lot of in middle school, the advisor gets it too. And it's a good chance both ways. It's a good chance for the advisor to say, hey, so you got 98 on that test. Great job. It also says, saw that you didn't turn in homework for 3 days. What's going on? Can I help you? I talked to blah, blah teacher and said, you're struggling here. Can I help you get some study hall time with that teacher? So it gives a time, and it's every day, 4 out of 5 days a week. So it's going to be give our teachers a better time, because a lot of times advisors happen to also be their teachers, but the time to talk to a student as their advisor is not when they're walking into your English class. That doesn't really work really well. So this gives them the opportunity. The other thing that you hear a lot about in education right now is social emotional learning. The school has hired we have a new counselor coming into middle school, and we will be implementing social emotional plans, teaching, and in 6th grade, that's going to become part of their computer. So 3 days a week, they have computers. The 4th day, and it's still going to say computers on their schedule. It's not going to change on the schedule, but the counselor is going to come in with Mr. Slominski and do some SEL work. And in 7th grade, we're doing it through the health program. In 8th grade, we're doing it through study halls. So we're going to be implementing that program there. You also see on Friday afternoons, we have a club period, something we implemented before COVID, and it took off in the middle school. So, for example, I have a quiz bowl club. Well, my quiz bowl club became a quiz bowl team, and my quiz bowl team, the first year we ever did it, won every 2 tournaments and the league. And we were invited to go to nationals, and the school was supporting us to go to Chicago for nationals. And then COVID hit, and it got canceled. So hopefully we'll form our team again and go to nationals in quiz bowl. It's a big Jeopardy game. But I mean, we have everything from ukulele club some semesters to folding the paper. Wow, my brain's not working. So different. We have lots and lots of different clubs, and the clubs are supposed to just be fun. And that's what we do. Somebody asked me about field trips. 8th grade this year is actually going on for the first time, is going to Washington, D.C. In September. The 7th grade goes to a camp. The 6th grade does not have an overnight field trip at this time, but does take local field trips. And again, with the pandemic, we do intend to start doing local field trips also. So we want to bring that back. And then after school. So at 2:30 on the schedule, 4 days a week. So on Mondays or day ones, pretty much everybody will be dismissed at 3:15. On Tuesdays through Fridays, you'll see that we have, they go to PE at 2:30. The whole middle school goes to PE. So how do we do that? Well, we're probably going to field 5 girls volleyball teams to start the year. We'll field a 7th and 8th grade flag football team and a 6th grade flag football team. We're going to field a cross country team. They go to practice at 2:30, and they usually practice till about 3:45. So if your child is not on a team, they'll go home at 3:15. If they are on a team, they'll be done at 3:45. And so that's also spreads out that afternoon carpool. So once sports start, you'll see the carpool spreads out. Oh, and we, it's Lord of the Flies for the parents during that time. So if your child is in volleyball, they pick up by the gym. If they're up at cross country, you can pick up by the field. If they're in flag football, you can pick up by the field. But most of the time, pickups are by the gymnasium, because invariably you will tell them, I'll pick you up at the field, but their book bag will be in the gym. So they'll go, oh, I forgot it there. So you'll still have to go drive down there anyway. So after school, they have that opportunity. We also intend to bring back our full arts program. I don't think she's changed over the summer, and I don't remember its first semester or second semester, but our musical this year is one that I've wanted the school to do for years. It's a little, I don't want to say racy isn't the right word. It's very, very appropriate for middle school. If you've not ever heard the soundtrack or anything, it's called 13. And actually, when it was on Broadway, the band, the orchestra, the performers, and everything were all teenagers. There were no adults involved, in the show itself when it was on Broadway. So it's a perfect show. It's all about becoming 13 and all the trials and tribulations that go along with that. So I'm excited that Miss Carlson is going to be doing that show. If your child did not sign up for theater but wants to be in the show, that's okay, because anybody can try out for the show. I will warn you that they rehearse before school until about a week before the show, and then they rehearse in the afternoons. We do work it out with the athletic department, so a child can be on a team and be in the show, but they also still have to be able to do their homework. So that's on them or on YouTube. But they can do both. And the same thing for performances. If your child is at camp this summer and tried cross country and signed up to play volleyball, oh, I signed up for the wrong sport. We don't care. We do those signups for sports because we want to get an idea of how many coaches we have to hire over the summer. But if a child changed their mind, they're 12, they're 13, they're finding new interests. That's okay. They didn't sign up for basketball, but now they want to play in the winter. That's okay. So it's not that they didn't sign their lives away by saying they wanted to not or play a sport or not play a sport. And the same thing with electives. While, if they find in the first week that they really want to do, let me take that back. This year we changed the electives, and that was actually a good thing. That was actually one of the positives that came out of COVID. And a best example is one of my 7th grade boys this year who is a sports kid. All he loves is sports, and he wanted to do film, and it's all he wanted to do. And last year we made him rotate. He signed up to take a year of theater because he loved the theater experience he had in 6th grade. Our students coming into the middle school, a lot of them haven't had that opportunity to try an instrument or to be on stage or to they do plenty of artwork in lower school, but to work with a professional artist. So we're going to rotate them through, and that's where they get a taste of all those things. And then those of you who have been to the middle school, I know you'll agree with me that we still have one of the greatest assets that any school could have, and her name is Mrs. Hilson. And she's an incredible English teacher, but she's an incredible person for the students. And she always offered an elective called Life. And it was always very, very well subscribed to. And it's just a fun, very positive elective that she runs. And so all the students will get a chance to have Miss Hilson for that opportunity also. So we learn from the students. Now, you'll get information when your child has music. If the kids come to me, I always urge them, if they're in band, to take the drums or the loudest instrument possible to get even with any of the parents. So, or I really laughed with the one 8th grade boy last year who took the cello up and watching him try to get that into his mother's car every afternoon. It was actually his father at least had a pickup truck. So that's the middle school. The changes, we haven't formally announced this yet because it actually just happened last week. But for us, it's actually, sometimes I live right. We were very fortunate last year to have a gentleman who did a long-term sub for us, Mr. Neely, in 6th grade. And I really did not have a position for him this coming year. and we wanted to keep him, but we couldn't. The kids actually put up signs in the hall asking us to try to keep Mr. Neely. Well, good things happen sometimes. So Dr. Schoenblum, who's been with us, had a baby, and that's why Mr. Neely was here. Dr. Schoenblum needs at least one more year at home with her child. So Mr. Neely will be back with us full time. He's not going to be a substitute. He is our new history teacher for the foreseeable future. And then Dr. Schoenblum, we think we have another role for her in the future also. But so he's not coming in as he did this year as a sub. And he's, by the way, not a sub. He's finishing his doctorate in history. And he's, again, so it's not a science teacher that's subbed in history. He is a history doctorate candidate, and somebody who the kids just seem to have adored. And so, to be honest, so did our faculty. So I'm happy to announce that. We did not change any math teachers, but you'll see most of you have Miss Price for math. So Miss Price is joining us. She's a veteran teacher. She has a master's in curriculum and instruction, so she's adding a lot to our school already. She's actually here down the hall right now with Ms. Codeweiss. They've been working all summer. She comes incredibly highly recommended from Mr. Bartling, who is working in our high school, and Mr. Camphor, who also works in our high school. So we're very excited. And we added a third math teacher so we could actually offer more diversity in what we can offer and meet the students' needs better. So we did not replace anybody. We added a third math teacher. We also are going to have 3 foreign language teachers this year, Spanish teachers. And again, it's an addition, not a replacement. But the addition is really the veteran, Miss Jarvis. I'm happy to say that Miss Jarvis will be back with us, and she'll be doing 7th grade this year. For those of you who don't know Miss Jarvis, she's been a master teacher at our school for many years and is winning her battle with leukemia. I still wear this. I'm hoping my first assembly to take this off, actually, because for those who don't know, one side has Team Jarvis, the other side has Team Dylan. We have an 8th grader who is also been battling leukemia, and there's a very good possibility he will be back in the beginning of the school year too. So that will make my first assembly to actually take this off, because the team would have won its battle. So I'm hoping to see that. All right, I can open it up to questions now, and you can unmute, wave your hands, jump up and down. Ms. Palacios, do you want to add anything while you're here? Or Ms. Smith, and I should talk about Ms. Smith and Ms. Baker, but Ms. Palacios, and am I pronouncing your name right too? I hope.
You are. Hello, everyone. I don't think I've had a chance to meet many of you, but I am the new director of admissions for our campus pre-K through 12. So I will be working with our new families and some of our current families as well, but mainly creating a full process for pre-K through 12 and bringing new families to the Meadows each year. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or stop by my office anytime.
I forgot to unmute.
Question. Oh,
I'll get to you. Give me 1 second, Jason, and you're up next. I just want to say, first of all, welcome to Ms. Palacios, and she's taking over our admissions and enrollment. And so she'll be working with families as we get to re-enrollment stage also. And we're very, we have some new families. I saw at least 1 or 2 on the call, and I want to make sure they feel welcome and know that we have a lot of experienced teacher families here too, who I'm sure will help you through the system. The other quick thing I'll say before Mr. Zimring asks this question is Miss Baker is our Miss Boyley. I know Miss Boyley's in lower school, so Miss Baker is the front desk receptionist. When you fall and skin your knee, I had a former student who used to do the greatest description. When asked the difference between lower school and middle school when you fall and skin your knee. And they said in lower school, they bring you into that first aid room and they put you up on the table and they clean off your knee and they give you this animal colored Band-Aid and they put it on. And in middle school, we give you a Band-Aid and tell you to deal with it. Well, we're not really that bad. but we will help you and clean it out and everything else. We do have first aid supplies, but yes, most of you know how to put on a Band-Aid yourself, but we'll make sure you put it on. And then Miss Smith is on this call today. She does not have a microphone because we don't trust her with a laptop, so she has to have a desktop. But she is on the call. But she is the registrar. She's my right hand. A lot of times, you want something answered and you can't get to me. Ask Miss Baker. Ask Miss Smith. They can actually answer most of those questions. If you want to yell about a teacher, talk to me. But otherwise, anything that's going on, I try to keep them well informed, or I should say it the other way, they keep me well informed of what's going on, and they can answer most of the questions or help you with most of the things, or at least get you to the right person who can. Your Veracross isn't working. Great. Don't ask me. I have no idea. I know how the scheduling part of Veracross works, but I don't know why your computer's not working. Miss Smith and Miss Baker know how to get everything at least reset for you. They may not be able to do it, but they can get you to the right people. So again, you have great assets there, and they know what they're doing. Mrs. Imring.
First, I just want to say I'm thrilled that Mr. Neely is staying. That's awesome. He's really wonderful. My question is, do the kids keep the same advisor for all 3 years, or do they get a new advisor every year in middle school?
We change advisors. And the reason that we do that is, I'll tell you, is twofold. Again, I always like to tell people rationales for things. One is I like to have somebody who they see every day. So or at least sometimes because of elective teachers, it may only be for a semester, but it's a different relationship because you see the person every day. And our schedule is so busy in the middle school, we don't have that much free time. So getting that progress report and then seeing the person walking in the room, it's a spark for the teacher to remember. And it just makes even making appointments and everything with the student easier. So that's number one. Number two is when we have the student for too many years, we become the parent, and we want to keep that relationship. So I've had teachers in the past, so we've kept the same advisor, and 3 years later, when the bloody knife is stuck in someone's back, they say, "Oh, not my advisee," just like the parents do. So it also gets them. If a student doesn't hit it off with their advisor, they don't have that one for the same all the years. They get to have different advisors, and again, different personalities and different strengths. Thank you for that's a great question, Mr. Zimmer.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Yes, Mrs. Wapa. You just have to unmute.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I have a question. My question is about carpool. I know you said something about the lower school moving on to middle school, or, back and forth. Last year was our first year, so it didn't count. But for this year now, with everything coming back to normal, I have a middle schooler. I have two middle schoolers. I have an upper school student, and I have a lower school kid. I don't want to go all around the circle. So how does that work?
How old is your lower school student?
She's going to be 9.
What grade? Third grade?
Yes, third grade.
Just please, I think your easiest bet would be to ask Miss Kennedy if your younger one can come up to the middle school carpool, and then you can pick up all 4 of them up here.
At the same, okay. All right.
If Miss Kennedy says no, then the older ones are more than welcome to go down to lower school. But then you have to go through the circle.
Yeah.
But that's a Miss Kennedy decision, because she does it for the safety of the younger students. But she's been very, very open about having students come, especially your children. So if you feel your 9-year-old can handle it and will show up in the right spot. And our campus internally, it's a very, very safe place. The car, I'm not going to say the parking lot, while parents are texting and driving through carpool at the same time. But we won't say anything about that. So if you feel comfortable, Ms. Kennedy has been very, very cooperative. I also am very, very happy to say that Ms. Sage is going to be our representative, correct, with the TMSPA in middle school, which is wonderful for me. While I don't know, she has an older son who just left the middle school to move up to 9th grade, and he will be a wonderful addition to the upper school and a loss for the middle school, because he's a great kid, and I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to pronounce her name wrong with my New York accent, but Lucia. Am I close? Or is it Lucia?
Lucia.
Okay. So
it's okay. You're not the first one that has called her that. So.
Okay. So I'll get it right by the time she graduates middle school. Anybody else have any other questions I can answer? And if picture's not on here, you just want to unmute and start talking.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, Ms. Hale.
Hi there. When will the children be receiving their schedules?
They are there. So if you go, I know you're new.
Yeah.
So do you have a link to Veracross now?
Okay, yeah, I'm all set up. So check it out.
We were going to send an email later today that I actually activated them yesterday. So
sounds good. Okay, thank you.
And by the way, on that schedule is their advisor's name and their locker combination. One of the things that I told the students, they love to hang their schedule, and they should, in their locker. Great, because they have to know where they're going. Tell them to black out after they memorize their combination. Every year we have, someone went in my locker, and Miss Smith has to change those combinations, and it's actually a whole procedure because they're not add-on locks, they're built-in locks, and they have like 5-6 different settings every couple of years. Every year we change it to a different setting, but it's actually not that easy. And then the other, you're going to laugh, but this is such an important thing. We alternate. So if you have a bottom locker this year, you get a top locker next year. The only times we make definite is if we have somebody who's huge and really, really very hard for them to get to a bottom locker. But more often we have, especially in 6th grade, we have some tiny students who can't reach the top locker. Then we'll make sure they get a bottom locker. So if it's a problem again, Miss Smith is totally the queen of lockers. You do not have to come to me. Just email Miss Smith and say, my child cannot reach the top locker, and she will make accommodations for you. Please do not email me and say, but they want to be next to their friend. No. They see their friends plenty. So no, and please don't email them. But we looked and they're not in enough classes with their friends. They have plenty of time to see their friends. So again, middle school has a lot more. Again, they can come in and spend an hour before school with their friends. They can go to sports with their friends. They can eat lunch with their friends. We don't have set tables. So they have plenty of time to be with their friends. So if they're not with the exact friend, and if not, make new friends too. Any other questions? Mr. Zimring, I see you came back on.
I came up with one more. I was looking at the schedule. How do we know which elective they have first? Because she has 3 different electives printed all for the same period, because I know they rotate.
It should say, you know what? I haven't seen how it came out to you. I will take a look at that. It should say Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4 near it. If it's not, I will make sure that somehow they have that ability to see that. I can't switch to it now, but so it should be listed there by quarter. If it's not, I will make sure it is seeable somehow. If you go look at the list of, instead of looking at the grid, look at the list of classes, and it should be there. But again, if it's not, I will make sure that gets fixed. One of the positives was the way I said doing the classes like this is everybody getting a taste. One of the negatives is our computer system was not set up to handle quarter classes. So it's actually a very interesting dilemma but paperwork is not going to get in the way of what's best for students. So I will make sure it's visible. I haven't been able to see that part yet.
Cool,
I'm not a student. But thank you, Jason. I'll make sure that gets fixed. I just was given one, so now I'm trying to see. So I'm looking at your daughters actually, and if you look period F on Mondays, it tells you which one she's in. Do you see it? Jason?
Yeah, I see it. So she has band first. I was asking for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter.
Okay, I'll see how I'm sure you can see it somehow. I'll let you guys know. As long as you know where you're going first quarter is my big important thing.
No rush. We're just very excited.
Good. No, yeah. I listen. I'm glad you are, and I won't. I'll make sure everybody gets to see that. I'm pretty sure you can see it on the list, but I'll make sure.
Okay.
Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. Well, again, please don't hesitate to contact Miss Smith. Miss Baker is not going to be here till school starts. She gets here about a week before school starts. I'm here all summer except for I'll be here tomorrow, and then the next 6 days I won't, counting the weekend, and then I'll be back. Next Wednesday I'll be back in school. And then I'm here till school starts. So I get to go to the Mistake by the Lake, better known as Cleveland, Ohio, to visit my mother-in-law. So that's my vacation, what's left of my vacation. So I hope everybody has a rest of a great vacation, stays cool with this weather out there. And again, if your students have questions, and by the way, that's another thing, is your child may email me. That's okay. They don't get in trouble for doing that. In fact, I prefer it. Not that I want them to tell you everything, but I also like them to try to, if they have questions, they don't have to say, Mommy, would you go ask this question? Or Daddy, say, you have that question, email Mr. Siegel, and I'll be glad to answer them, as long as it's through the school email. I will not email privately. Any other questions? Again, I'm looking forward to working with Ms. Sage this summer and this school year for our activities. And everybody have a great rest of summer, and don't hesitate to call if you need me. Bye-bye.